The Urantia Book is a revelation about God, universe, our planet, and our life. The purpose of this new revelation is to expand cosmic consciousness and enhance spiritual perception of human beings in this planet.
You may have heard that God is compassionate and merciful. But you will be surprised watching this video, how deep this truth about the loving and merciful God, and how great His love for us. You may have heard from scientific findings that this universe is gigantic. It is more than 26 billion years old, and more than 90 billion light-years across. If God ruled this huge universe from paradise, can you imagine, who and what is God like? I have a story, and it is a very good depiction about the nature of God, and this was even told by a son from paradise who knew his father himself, and he came to this planet 2,000 years ago because the father sent him to reveal what the father is to this planet. Not only revealing by words, this son has demonstrated perfectly in his life about the universal God, his Father. This story will describe what God be like. Use your imagination. Let's get started. A certain man had two sons. One, the younger, was light-hearted and carefree, always seeking for a good time and shirking responsibility, while his older brother was serious, sober, hard-working, and willing to bear responsibility. Now these two brothers did not get along well together. They were always quarreling and bickering. The younger lad was cheerful and vivacious, but indolent and unreliable. The older son was steady and industrious, at the same time self-centered, surly, and conceited. The younger son enjoyed play but shunned work. The older devoted himself to work but seldom played. This association became so disagreeable that the younger son came to his father and said, "Father, give me the third portion of your possessions which would fall to me and allow me to go out into the world to seek my own fortune." And when the father heard this request, knowing how unhappy the young man was at home and with his older brother, he divided his property, giving the youth his share. Within a few weeks the young man gathered together all his funds and set out upon a journey to a far country. And finding nothing profitable to do which was also pleasurable, he soon wasted all his inheritance in riotous living. And when he had spent all, there arose a prolonged famine in that country, and he found himself in want. And so, when he suffered hunger and his distress was great, he found employment with one of the citizens of that country, who sent him into the fields to feed swine. And the young man would fain have filled himself with the husks which the swine ate. But no one would give him anything. One day, when he was very hungry, he came to himself and said, "How many hired servants of my father have bread enough and to spare while I perish with hunger? Feeding swine off here in a foreign country. I will arise and go to my father, and I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no more worthy to be called your son. Only be willing to make me one of your hired servants." And when the young man had reached this decision, he arose and started out for his father's house. Now this father had grieved much for his son. He had missed the cheerful, though thoughtless, lad. This father loved this son and was always on the lookout for his return. So that on the day he approached his home, even while he was yet afar off, the father saw him and, being moved with loving compassion, ran out to meet him, and with affectionate greeting he embraced and kissed him. And after they had thus met, the son looked up into his father's tearful face and said, "Father, I have sinned against heaven and in your sight. I am no more worthy to be called a son." But the lad did not find opportunity to complete his confession because the overjoyed father said to the servants who had by this time come running up, "Bring quickly his best robe, the one I have saved, and put it on him, and put the son's ring on his hand, and fetch sandals for his feet." And then, after the happy father had led the footsore and weary lad into the house, he called to his servants, "Bring on the fatted calf and kill it, and let us eat and make merry, for this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." And they all gathered about the father to rejoice with him over the restoration of his son. About this time, while they were celebrating, the elder son came in from his day's work in the field, and as he drew near the house, he heard the music and the dancing. And when he came up to the back door, he called out one of the servants and inquired as to the meaning of all this festivity. And then said the servant, "Your long-lost brother has come home, and your father has killed the fatted calf to rejoice over his son's safe return. Come in that you also may greet your brother and receive him back into your father's house." But when the older brother heard this, he was so hurt and angry he would not go into the house. When his father heard of his resentment of the welcome of his younger brother, he went out to entreat him. But the older son would not yield to his father's persuasion. He answered his father, saying, "Here these many years have I served you, never transgressing the least of your commands, and yet you never gave me even a kid that I might make merry with my friends. I have remained here to care for you all these years, and you never made rejoicing over my faithful service, but when this your son returns, having squandered your substance with harlots, you make haste to kill the fatted calf and make merry over him." Since this father truly loved both of his sons, he tried to reason with this older one. "But, my son, you have all the while been with me, and all this which I have is yours. You could have had a kid at any time you had made friends to share your merriment. But it is only proper that you should now join with me in being glad and merry because of your brother's return. Think of it, my son, your brother was lost and is found. He has returned alive to us." That's who and what is God like. Suffering is real, but the Father did not create sufferings. The child himself created his hell by running away and living far from his Father. So hell can be experienced in our life right now by running away from God. The closer we are to God, the more we feel safety and heaven in our lives, because God gives a spirit to dwell within us, and His Spirit presence inside us is a spirit of tranquility and peace. We can communicate with God directly by talking with this Spirit who is already within our minds. He knows all our thoughts. As simple as that. The Father's love is infinite or without limits. Even though his child has sinned against him and his family, he still longs for his child to come home. And when he came home, the merciful Father forgave him so that the child was restored, forgiven, only because of faith and trust. This son doesn't need to pay compensation, but he came home with an honest heart, sincerely returned to him. The Father does not ask for offerings and sacrifices so that his sins will be forgiven. A son repents and returns to his Father with an honest heart. That is enough for divine forgiveness. I think you as a normal and human father can understand this forgiveness within your heart. Some father even has experienced this truth for real. Your love for your children is divine. He is good. God's goodness is real by taking care of us from day to day. He never ignores or forgets us. If we keep pets, we never forget to feed and care for them, because if we forget, they will definitely die. God is responsible, He takes care of what He created. Love, mercy and goodness of God are the most fundamental truths in the Urantia Book. God gives the Son for all, for those who believe in God and those who do not. He gives the same Son to everyone, and does not show favoritism in giving His blessings. We are in this world because He loves us and gave us opportunities to live forever. Without His love we wouldn't be here. This truth also means that as children we must also learn to love, forgive, be generous, and be kind to everyone, to friends and to enemies. We must learn to stop wars and fightings because God is the Father of all. He does not pit His children against each other, then laugh at seeing His children suffer. A normal human father is not doing that, let alone the ultimate and absolute Father of the universe. He doesn't like war between brothers, between nations, or between planets. His nature is love. The universal Father does not show favoritism, He loves all creatures with the same love. Go ahead and think again about that story. There are many more truths you can get from that story. These are some conclusions before we close this video. God is great, He is the creator of the huge universe, but He is personal. As persons, we can identify Him as the loving and merciful Father. His love is infinite. His love is the same for everyone. He wants everyone to go home with Him in paradise. Humans are brothers and sisters. We are indwelt by the Spirit from one and the same source, and this Spirit within us is a sign that we are children of God who is Spirit. God who inhabits the universe also inhabits our minds. If you understand this video, then I say congratulations. Because now you have heard about the original Gospel of Jesus, the summary of the main teachings of Jesus, told in 700 pages of the Part 4 of the Urantia Book. Welcome to the fellowship and brotherhood of human beings, the children of God of universal family. If you believe this good news, you are actually at home now inside the kingdom of God. You are children of God, because you are the home of the Spirit of God who lives within you. Learn to talk every time with Him, and you will know this is a fact, not a theory. If you want to learn more, please watch other videos on this channel, and please visit urantia.org. You can explore using search engine, you can download for free and read, or to buy the printed book. You can join communities or courses about this book. Or you can ask something in the comment section. Please subscribe, like, and share this video if you wish. Keep updated because I will upload a lot of videos about various topics. God is love, He is merciful. He is good, peace be upon you.